Hello, writers. By now, most of you have 2 or even 3 information books you've created so far. What I'd like you to do is get out your writing notebooks, and then I'd also like you to turn to a new page in your writing notebook. Now, I want you to look at your first and second information books that are in your writer's notebook. And I want you to look through those 2 and compare them. Here's a huge important question. How do you think the most recent book is better than the first one? Now, before you answer, think about why this is a huge, important question. So hopefully you've noticed that the differences between these 2 books show how much you've grown as a writer. And I've seen you guys grow, so that's great. So right now I want you to study the ways that your second book is better. So how many of you have more lines of writing or more pages of writing in your most recent book? If you have more, give yourselves a pat on the back. So writers, are you noticing that you might have more specifics in the second book, such as names, numbers, colors, and shapes? If so, that's great. So now, writers, go back to the blank page. So this is going to be your very best one yet. And it will be the best because you're going to do all of the things that you've learned so far, and you're going to do more. Today I want to teach you one more thing that information writers do. Information writers try to make their introductions special. That's all. They know their beginnings matter, and they try to make them special. Do you remember our book about Chinese meals? We said we'd start off with, in this book, I will teach you all about Chinese food. What do you think? Do you think that sounds special? How can we add pizzazz to the introduction of that book? What do you think? How can we do that? Maybe we can add a few things. So one thing we could add is a picture with words to make our beginning special. Or we could ask readers a question. Or we can even tell a little story or an interesting fact. So let's try those methods and come up with ways to start our book about Chinese restaurants. Let's think of a word picture that you could paint. What if you imagine that you're walking into a Chinese restaurant? What do you see in your mind? Are you picturing it right now? Let's see, what about this? What about the restaurant is filled with little red and white booths, and every table has a small bamboo plant in the middle of it? That would be a great beginning for a book, I think. What do you think? What about trying another way to make a special beginning? How about we could ask a question related to Chinese restaurants? How about, does your family sometimes go out to dinner at a Chinese restaurant? Or we could tell a very teeny tiny story related to Chinese restaurants. One time, my family went to a Chinese restaurant that had a grill as the table. Sit around the table, they told us. A cook came out and started twirling an egg on the tip of a spatula. Soon he was juggling with 2 eggs. That was a very fun surprise. So writers, we just tried 3 different ways to make the start to our Chinese restaurant book special. We could have tried other ways to make it special. These aren't the only ways. The important thing is that whenever any of us write an information book, we should try to make the beginning special. We'll later go back to our fireworks book and revise that beginning too. So writers, you'll be writing another book today. So take a second now to think of what you'll write about. Let me set up the list of topics to refresh your memory. So here we have things I do, places I've been, sports I play, topics I've studied, collections I cherish, occasions I celebrate, pop culture I fan over, that's TVs, movies, celebrities, or stuff that people rely on me for. So give me a thumbs up if you have an idea. Now, before you think about how you might make a special beginning, I want you to think about what you might write about on each page. So I want you to take out your blank page, and I want you to touch page 1 and then page 2. My in-class learners, now tell your partner what you might write about on those pages. Online learners, think about in your mind and write in the air how you might start the first page with a question. So now try a harder way to start your book on that first page with a word picture. Imagine walking up to or into your topic. So for example, you could say, I walked into, and for me, I might say Chinese restaurant. I saw, and then I could say, I saw a bamboo plant in the corner. So in your mind, I want you to think about what you see about your topic. So now what I want you to do is I want you to get one of those special beginnings written down fast. Those ideas are too good to forget. Off you go.